And thank you for coming. My name is Irwin Zalkin, I-R-W-I-N, Z-A-L-K-I-N of the Zalkin Law Firm. We've invited you here today because I wanted to announce to the world that on Wednesday, October 29th, Superior Court Judge Joan M. Lewis sent a very strong message to the Watchtower Bible and Tract Society of New York, the governing entity of the Jehovah's Witnesses in this country, that no one, no person, no entity is above the law. For almost 14 years, between 1982 and 1995, the Watchtower and its agents, elders of the congregation, its local congregation, Linda Vista, Spanish congregation of the Jehovah's Witnesses, knew that they had a dangerous child sexual predator within their organization who was giving Bible study lessons to young children, who ultimately became a ministerial servant, an ordained minister of the Jehovah's Witnesses, and then an elder. While at that time, that entire time frame, he was abusing at least 8 children that we know of. He is still a Jehovah's Witness somewhere in the interior of Mexico. He fled this country the minute we went after him, and we reported this to the police and to law enforcement. When this came to light to our firm in about 2010, when one of these victims approached him. Jose Lopez was abused in 1986 by Gonzalo Campos after the Watchtower and after the elders already knew that he had abused a child in 1982. That was specifically reported to them, and he had already abused 4 other children. What happened on October 29th was a very unusual circumstance. Watchtower, throughout this litigation involving Jose, and in some other cases that our firm is handling around the country, has refused to follow court orders compelling them to produce very incriminating records, documents that go back decades that shows the depth and the breadth of their knowledge of child predators within their organization, child molesters within their organization. They refused to produce those documents. They refused to follow a court order to produce the longest standing member of their governing body who knew all about this stuff. They refused to do that. They refused the court's order, the trial court's order, Judge Lewis's order. They refused the Court of Appeals of the state of California's approval of her order. They refused the state of California's Supreme Court approval of her order. And for that reason, they were sanctioned by this court, and their defense was terminated. They were not allowed to participate in the proceedings under which we had to prove up the damages in this case.
I wanted to provide some more details on this remarkable and groundbreaking civil case involving a serial child molester and the reckless and egregious conduct by the Watchtower Bible and Tract Society. The victim, or plaintiff in this case, was Jose Lopez, who was one of 7 victims abused by Gonzalo Campos in congregations of Jehovah's Witnesses. The other 6 victims who came forward have settled out of court for cash payments from the Watchtower Society, the amounts of which are confidential, as we heard the reporters say. They are sealed by court order. The facts of this case are that in 1986, when Jose Lopez was age 7, the elders in the Linda Vista congregation assigned Gonzalo Campos, a baptized publisher who became a ministerial servant and later an elder, to study the Bible with Jose. And that at this time, in 86, the elders were aware that there had been 4 other children who said that they had been sexually molested by Campos, the first of these allegations being made in 1982. Here we see a copy of the actual court judgment in this case, entered in the Superior Court of California, County of San Diego, on October the 29th of 2014, in favor of the plaintiff, Jose Lopez, ordering the Watchtower Bible and Tract Society of New York to pay total damages of over $13,500,000. $3 million of these damages are to compensate the victim for the actual damages that he suffered in this case as a result of the abuse, and the other $10.5 million are punitive damages. Those are damages designed to punish the Watchtower Society for its reckless and reprehensible conduct. Its conduct was considered particularly egregious in this case because of two things. That is, two court orders that it refused to comply with. The first order was to produce information in its database of all known child molesters in the congregations of the United States. We know that they had this information beginning in March of 1997, when a letter was issued to all bodies of elders asking them to send all information regarding child abuse cases to headquarters in New York. It is thought that this database contains over 23,000 known child molesters. The second court order they refused to comply with was for Garrett Loesch to come and provide testimony under oath. This was requested since the governing body is the managing agent of the Watchtower Society, and Garrett Loesch is its longest serving member. The Watchtower Society then appealed these two court orders to the California Court of Appeals, claiming that they were unreasonable. The Court of Appeals upheld these court orders as reasonable. The Watchtower Society then appealed the court orders to the California Supreme Court. They also upheld them as reasonable. After the California Supreme Court upheld her court orders, the judge in this case, Joan Lewis, took the unheard of, almost seldom used action of sanctioning the defendant, the Watchtower Bible and Tract Society, by terminating their defense and entering a default judgment in favor of the plaintiff, Jose Lopez. Another important consequence of this case was the reaffirmation by the court of the concept of agency of elders. That is, the concept that any negligent or harmful actions by elders of the local congregations can be legally attributed and imputed to the Watchtower Corporation itself. The attitude of the Watchtower Society that it is somehow above the law, that it demonstrated by failing to comply with the court orders, and the reckless disregard that they showed for the welfare of children by allowing a known serial pedophile to have contact with children and failing to warn those in the congregations, is summed up by attorney Irwin Zalkin's comments in this article, which appeared in the San Diego Press. He said, "We were embroiled with a long slog with the Catholic Church around the country, but they accepted on some level that they committed these errors, that this was a problem. At least they said, mea culpa. The Jehovah's Witnesses have not. These guys will deny and deny. They are belligerent. They are arrogant. They treat victims as adversaries. This is not an organization that is ready to accept the reality of what they have been doing."